Hey everybody, Andrew Reynolds with FindYourFuels.com, back again to answer more of your questions. Thanks so much for submitting your questions and adding your comments, letting us know what's going to be of best help to you. That's what we're really here to do, and it's exciting that we're making a help. And the question today is, should I change jobs? And many of you will break out into a cold sweat just thinking of it, because you've been in that place before and you know that a lot of things have gone wrong for you to be thinking of this. We're not talking about promotion. Many times we're not even talking about staying within the department you're currently in, and a lot of times it's talking about moving to some job that's completely different. Different boss, different coworkers, just getting out of there. And one thing I want you to remember, as much of your life is probably consumed with frustration with your current position and all the different things that go into that, sometimes there's such a thing as the lesser of two evils. And the quote-unquote evil or difficulty, more specifically, that we want to address is change. The very fact that changing jobs, that changes in the word, the phrase that we're doing, change is hard. Change, even good change, is worse initially. And you need to keep that in the forefront of your mind. I have a friend, a mentor of mine, who used to fly planes, and one time when he was earlier on in his plane flying days, a friend of his wanted to see some of the wildlife that was below them as they were flying from one place to the other, and he just was circling and circling. They're having a great time when all of a sudden he realized that even though he kept the throttle forward and had the same amount of power, they were losing steam quickly, because as anything going in a circle, if it's doing nothing else, it's changing direction, and so much momentum is lost through turning and changing. It's the same exact thing for our careers and our lives. And especially if you're already undergoing any kind of personal change, whether it's a new relationship or a new responsibility in your life, to add change upon change is usually a pretty bad idea. Or at least you have to be aware that a hard turn is probably going to require some stopping. And to get back up to speed is going to use a lot of gas. I know I'm using some very physical examples, but they're very realistic for what people experience when they're changing work. The least amount of change that you can sanely do is pretty much what you need to go for. At least staying within industry, staying with a similar customer base possibly than what you're already used to, staying in a close proximity to where you're already going with a similar schedule. The more sameness you can keep, the more able you are to change. And that's one thing to think about as well. How many changes are we talking? Because really, if you've got anything more than two major changes, and that's even a lot there. If you're already going personal change, it's pretty unrealistic that you'd find a work situation that's only changed by a small degree. And that's important to keep in mind. Because if we're not just talking about quitting one work and looking for another, we're really talking about successfully transitioning. And to add change upon change is something that's only going to hinder your ability to do it successfully. And in the thought of doing it successfully, let's add this third element, which is, once I make that turn, how will I get back up to speed? I've already determined this is not the road I want to go on. I want to make a turn onto a different one that I've already selected. In that turn, hopefully it's not a hard left, in that turn, once I've already completed the turn, how much gas is it going to take? What can I do in my life to make up for the loss in momentum? And I know it's a silly example, but as many people prepare for New Year's resolutions at different times of the year, the less you prepare for change, the more likely that change is not going to happen. So as this is coming up, as you know you're leaning into the turn and this is something going up, if that's the moment where you start thinking about how am I going to get back up to speed, you're already lost. You should be thinking about that before any change is going. So as you're in this place, don't try to make any drastic changes, because those quick turns can really take the wind out of you. Give yourself some space. Go to a favorite coffee shop. Do whatever you need to do to sit down and think. Where do I need to go with the options I have in front of me? How much change is this going to take? And once I've chosen a direction, being as aware as possible of the amount of change that this is going to cause in your life, what are you going to do to make up for that? Maybe what other difficult things are you trying that you're going to take a pause on? What in your life can you successfully put on the back burner if you're maybe trying to lose weight or change your eating habits or read more books? All things that you're already trying to improve and change in your life. Are there any things that you could stop for a season? Because as you're adjusting to a new boss and new coworkers, a new situation, a new schedule, there are very few job changes that don't mean lots of change. So, of course, we're not trying to dissuade you if you're not getting a good return on your investment for the time that you're investing in the place that you're serving. That's obviously a bad long-term problem, but in the short term, one thing you should not do is completely sabotage yourself by trying to attempt too much change too quickly. Hope that was of help. If there's any more questions from this subject matter that you'd like us to address here on the video, just go ahead and leave that below. Any comments? If this was helpful for you, please let us know. It gives us encouragement to keep doing these and not just look into the camera eye and wonder if anyone's listening. It's great to know that you're out there. And of course, if you do like what you see, please subscribe and tell a friend. Have a great day and keep turning your passion into profit. Thanks.